Something happened in Migori yesterday that has attracted the attention of the entire nation called Kenya. Somebody threw a shoe and it hit the President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, before we go any further, I need to inform you that this has happened before in the history of the country called Kenya. Somebody, a Kenyan, has thrown something towards the President of the Republic of Kenya. Okay? And this incident took place during the reign of the very first President of the Republic of Kenya, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. But let me tackle that towards the end of my show today, because I have a feeling that there is a very serious message here. It happened then and it happened yesterday. There is a very serious message here for Kenyans from the Most High. So stay with me. That should be super fascinating, I assure you. I received quite a number of calls and communication from many of you, and the attitude from a vast majority of Kenyans would really puzzle somebody who has no idea about what is happening in the country currently. It would really puzzle them. Because the truth is, there was so much excitement. People were delighted right across the country. Now that is strange for many reasons, starting with the security aspect. Even stranger to somebody who has no idea what is going down in Kenya currently was the fact that some people could not stop laughing. They were laughing. They were very happy. And yet, if somebody steps back without emotion and looks at this incident, this was a very alarming development, security-wise. Why were Kenyans so happy? I mean, I have not seen Kenyans this excited for a very, very long time. That is the truth. Actually, there is a key, very important political lesson to take home from all this. As a leader, as a politician, the biggest mistake you can ever make is to set up a confrontation with the people, so that you reach that place where people are always looking at things and analyzing the news, analyzing developments, only on the basis of you against your people. You against your people. And in that kind of environment, nobody thinks about national interests. Nobody wants to think about what is best for Kenya. And even more important, nobody wants to think about the future of Kenya. All it is a contest. That is the most serious mistake any leader can make. Not only a politician, any leader can make. Even a parent. Once you set up yourself into a situation where it is you, the draconian parent, the father or the mother, against your children, that thing will not end well. Please let us take in that wisdom to use for ourselves and to use in our lives. And despite the raw emotions running all over the country, let us appreciate the fact that he is not the first to do this. It is a part of human nature where success goes into your head, power goes into your head, and you decide you are the boss. You are going to rule. Wapende wasipende. And then you forget there is something very deadly that always kicks in called human nature. Humans react and humans resist. And they can react and resist in very many ways. I don't want to go too deep into psychology. I'm sure many of you are getting impatient because you came here to be entertained. Yeah, I don't want to go very deep into it. But I believe it is very important for anybody who wants to analyze Kenyan politics and understand the very dangerous place where we're going. It is extremely important for us to see this before it is too late. And please let us remember that I've been talking very generally. Okay, a parent, a boss in an office, etc., etc. But when it comes to politics, it is even more deadly. The results can be worse. For the simple reason that for a politician to continue to rule and stay in power, whether they are a dictator or an elected leader, they need the support of the people. And they need to find a way of getting the support of those people, even if it is by force. But they must find a way to get the support of the people. The situation in Kenya today is that with our 2010 constitution, there is no way you can force Kenyans to support you. And therefore, there are some things this regime should never have done. And because they did them, they have just cut their own feet and made things worse. And of course the climax was the incident in Migori of the shoe being thrown at the president, and then the reaction of the subjects, the people who are supposed to be ruled in the country, okay, which was not only telling, but it should scare each and every Kenyan. In a minute that will become clear. I've said that. But now, I want to go into the politics. The thinking behind State House. Why was it Migori? And I'm about to give you some very shocking information. I believe it will shock most of us. In the mind of the president, Migori is his stronghold. And he has reason to feel like that. Believe it or not, he has reason. Hey, you know, ODM have been having very many problems in Migori County for a very long time. Okay? I believe the quickest way to illustrate this and make it very clear is to tell the story of immediate former governor of Migori County, Okoth Obado. Now, when Okoth Obado became governor, he immediately set himself up for confrontation with the ODM party high command. Now, those who are observing this from the outside must have assumed that the ODM high command, Raila Odinga and his close allies, are being high-handed. They are behaving in a dictatorial way. However, when you become aware of the piece of information that the campaign of the former governor of Migori was heavily financed by William Samoei Ruto, then you may begin to look at it differently. Now, please allow me to back up a little so that we understand this better. In the run-up to the 2007 general elections, the very controversial general elections, Ruto was in ODM. Indeed, it is true that President Ruto is one of the founders of the ODM party. Anyway, after Mwai Kibaki stole those elections and forced himself back into power, of course, ultimately, there was a grand coalition government. However, the power remained with the president. And what very quickly happened is that the intelligence community in Kenya started looking at ODM as a threat to national security. Why? because of the clashes that had just taken place. And therefore, their mission was to dismantle, weaken the ODM party. And they quickly got allies within ODM to help them with this, including Ruto. I was just giving you the background. But my main point here is that the Ruto of before the 2007 general elections and the Ruto after that were two very different people. Bottom line, Ruto saw himself as a very influential national political leader, more influential than even Raila. Now, if you want to become influential politically, one very smart strategy is to reduce the influence of the person you want to overtake. And this is how Ruto perfected the very deadly and effective strategy of fighting your political opponent from within, from inside their own party, from inside their own inner circle. And I'll give you a few examples. During the 2017 general elections, it became very clear as we headed towards the elections that there was a more within the NASA principles. Okay, the NASA principles at that time were Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, and Moses Wetangula. The impact of this, remember it's a competitive election, information is gold. Imagine the situation where you know exactly what your political opponent is going to do. Inside information. Imagine how powerful is that. And Kumekucha at the time identified this more. Many people did not want to believe, but maybe now they want to change their position on that one. The more was Wetangula. Okay? Those Kenyans with the memory of an elephant will remember that things got so bad that Raila started playing his cards very close to his chest, including the very dramatic events that led to the mock swearing in of Raila Odinga at Uhuru Park. Anyway, let me move on quickly because we're talking about Migori. Another example, which will be easy for many of us to remember quickly, was the case of politician, Nyali legislator, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali initially was looking for an ODM ticket to vie for the parliamentary seat of Nyali in Mombasa. And you remember he ran into a lot of problems. It seemed as if ODM were fighting him, which appeared strange and had the effect of making Muhammad Ali even more popular on the ground. I believe that at least some of us will remember that the then governor, Ali Hassan Joho, even fielded his own blood brother to run for the Nyali seat on an ODM ticket against Muhammad Ali. But let us cut to the chase. What was the problem? ODM discovered too late that the financier, the backer of Muhammad Ali, to run on an ODM ticket was none other than a major politician within the Jubilee Party, then Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Indeed, there are those who believe that during Muhammad Ali's journalistic career, he was able to get a lot of very sensitive information which was not accessible to other journalists because he had a friend in high places. And I'm sure you can guess who it was. Anyway, for avoidance of doubt, Muhammad Ali's true character and his true backers came out very clearly, to the utter shock of most of us. Huh? Muhammad Ali is with Ruto? No, that's fake news. Politics, I'm telling you. Politics, and especially Ruto politics, Wacha tu. Anyway, let me put it this way. Ruto had his people, still has his people everywhere in Migori County. And therefore, in the eyes of the president, Migori County is a place where he can have a lot of leeway. Is almost a stronghold, bang, in Raila Odinga's territory. Okay? And let's not forget that there's a minority community within Migori County known as the Kuria. Let's not forget that one. Fast forward to the present. Because of all these networks built over many years in the county called Migori, the president was very comfortable with this Migori tour, because even in the past he has been very well received, courtesy of this powerful, invisible, mostly network, but also visible network. He has been very well received. However, something went terribly wrong. And historians will record that it was in Migori that Kenyans first got a glimpse of the indication that although ODM is in the broad-based government, things on the ground are not like that. And that there is very stiff opposition towards the Ruto presidency within Luo Nyanza, in the grassroots, amongst the people. And of course this was brutally brought out by somebody throwing a shoe at the president, as we all saw. And indeed, this realization amongst Kenyans is one of the reasons why so many Kenyans are delighted about this development. Just go into social media, go into TikTok, and you will understand what I'm saying. And the truth is that the Migori incident has dealt a very major blow to the president's plans concerning perception, political perception in the Nyanza area. It will be very difficult for him to recover from that one, because that is an incident that will not be quickly forgotten. And in politics, you don't want such things happening against you that cannot be quickly forgotten. That does not work well for any politician at any level, because it will come back to haunt you each and every time, and ultimately at the ballot. So, this has happened before in our history? Oh yes. On 25th October 1969, admittedly, the circumstances were very different. You know, this life is very fascinating. I started hearing and getting information on the Kisumu massacre of 25th October 1969 when I was very young, when I didn't even understand. Little did I know that many, many years later, all this information fed into my hard drive over many years would be super, super useful for what I was going to do in the future, what I was born to do. Now, during that Kisumu incident, somebody threw a chair at President Jomo Kenyatta. However, in this instance, it did not hit the president. Now, I believe you can see on your screens right now one of the most dramatic political photographs ever taken in our country. That chair did not reach the president because it was never intended to reach the president. Now, in the photograph you can see somebody from the National Youth Service who was part of the security that day holding the chair that he had just caught and looking at the crowd in horror. How dare you? That's the expression on his face. And I'm sure he believed he was a hero. However, the truth is that chair was thrown by a member of the president's security. And the whole idea was that the chair being thrown was the signal. The signal for what? I believe you can see some men going for their weapons, others scanning the crowds. And if you look carefully, the look on their eyes is very evil, bloodthirsty. The excitement of knowing what you're about to do and knowing that there'll be no consequences. Because we know that Jomo Kenyatta's security detail walipiga watu wengi sana risasi hiyo siku. They were firing indiscriminately. Indeed, to date, the precise and exact number of victims is still a closely guarded state secret. Oh boy. Innocent people, some of them school children, who had come to entertain the visiting head of state. Some of them children who were not even at the meeting. They were safely in their houses, or so they thought. But some of those resources flying all over the place got to them. You know, you cannot joke around with the Most High. You cannot joke around with the Ancient of Days. And sometimes he has his way of reminding people of injustices, especially where many innocent souls lost their lives. And to make matters worse, for nothing, for next to nothing. This was the culmination of an operation led by the then spy chief, Abwana James Kanyotu. The objective? To solidify and to firmly establish the presidency of Jomo Kenyatta and ensure that well into the future there would be no single threat, not even the smell of a threat. Because shortly after this, we know what happened. The narrative was there was violence in Kisumu, and therefore the only opposition political party at that time, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's party, was banned. He himself was put under house arrest. Many of his allies were arrested and detained. And development ran away from Luo Nyanza. To date, okay, the message was very simple. Cheza na serikali, uone. Ebu jaribu, uone. Fortunately, there is one who sees everything, and there is one who never forgets. And so, this may be just a story from history for many of us. However, people lost their lives, and it cannot be forgotten. Never ever. Let me not be carried away. Okay? The latest incident in Migori tells us that kumedoka. Things are not good for this regime. And it should be more than obvious that from here, going forward, it will be nothing but downhill. Yes, already it has been downhill. But then it will be steeper downhill from here going forward. That is just the political reality. Now, today is the day. Today is Kumekucha's birthday. The Kumekucha brand was born on the 5th of May 2005. A day like today. Okay? Happy birthday to Kumekucha. I thank Almighty God for this far He has brought me. This far He has brought this tool, and the contribution and the impact it has had and it will continue to have towards a better Kenya. I'm very thankful today. Now, of course, you know that means that it is only a few hours before we end the session for birthday gifting and choose the 20 lucky winners of a free Kumekucha pass to everything, past, present, and future. Now you can see details on your screens right now. I'm sure you'll take full advantage of this last few hours to ensure that you're there, yeah, for posterity and also for a chance for this very valuable golden pass. I take this opportunity to thank all of you, without which this would never have been possible. All of you who have supported me so strongly right from day one. All those of you who have kept me going through these 2 decades. That's not a short time. Asanteni sana, and God bless you abundantly. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.